I'm Beth Ann.
What's up? I'm Ayla.
This is Let's Talk BL, a boys love podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast. It is Sunday Series Sunday. We are back again with another series to bring you all the spoilers for. And I'm going to be honest with you. In this case, like, just take the spoilers, maybe miss the show.
We're going
I don't know
old
what to
school,
tell
y'all.
you. What I will say is I have watched this show 3 times now. I needed to watch it 3 times. No.
When
It was a mistake to watch it 3 times. It was a whole thing,
when
y'all.
Ayla finds a boy, when Ayla is captured by a boy,
Right.
she will do anything for said boy.
Listen, here's the situation.
I mean, we all will. I feel like here's the thing. I loved John Krasinski after I found him on The Office, and I've watched everything he's done, and everything was real bad.
Here's the thing. I'm always like, why would you suffer through a show? Like, why would you force yourself to watch a show? And if your answer is, well, because I'm just really dedicated to this boy, that's a solid answer for me. And so that is what happened with this show for me. And this is why now I have watched it 3 times. Once for one boy, one for a second boy, and then once for this series Sunday so that I could actually talk about it. We are talking about Make It Right.
I wish we could make it right.
We can't. There's no making this right.
You can't make it right. I love the irony of the title of this show.
I mean,
you cannot make it right.
All I can say
they
is
did
that
3 iterations of this show and it never got right.
Yeah. So there.
Right.
So today there. So okay. There's Make It Right 2, and Make It Live. Today we are just talking about Make It Right.
What is Make
original.
It Live? Did they
something to do with a beach? They're on.
Was it a fan meeting?
I truly don't know. It was a show. It was a show. There are episodes
of the show.
Yeah. This is a whole thing. So we're gonna talk about the whole thing.
Good luck. Here's the thing. We've talked about this before. I feel like we talked about this recently. It's good to watch old shows because so much of your favorite actors and directors started somewhere, and it's always interesting to learn where they started.
Right.
And this entertainment world is so small. And again, like, I went down a deep dive because what we realized was that this show was a Copy A production. And so I was like, I want to figure out what Copy A has done. And apparently Copy A is confusing because it's like a production team, but it's also like, I think it's people as well as like production.
I mean, it's very much like worldwide. But before we get into it, let's talk about the nuts and the bolts.
Okay, so it came out in May of 2016. So
an original.
Good old
the old
6
days.
years ago. It came out on Line TV again. R.I.P. Line TV.
R.I.P. Line TV.
It's now available on YouTube and other places. You should not watch it on YouTube past a certain point because you
should not watch it anywhere that's not legal, is what I will tell you. The subs are going to give out on you on YouTube. Suffer through it.
I mean, it's not legal on YouTube.
Is it not? I watched it when Line TV. So I watched it when Line TV was still around. Pouring Out for the Lost Homies.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
you watched it that long ago?
Line TV didn't go out of business until this
January.
Past December. Yeah. I had my Ohm Awakening long before that.
Oh, wild.
I had my He's Coming to Me moment long before that.
Wild.
And that's when I went and watched all of Ohm's stuff. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, go find it. You'll figure it out. It's directed by...
Or don't go find it. Like, that's also a valid thing to do. Just listen to this episode.
It was directed by a group of people that we all know. So it was directed by New from Wabi Sabi.
Who, if you're not super familiar with Wabi Sabi or New or his work or like who he is, he also most recently directed Star in My Mind.
And Sky in Your Heart.
With Sky in Your Heart out, I owe it with the mix and it's a difficult
Sky
time
and the
for me.
Star and the Heart and the Mind.
That thing.
It also was directed / starred in by Chi-Win, who is potentially the founder director of Copy A
Bangkok.
Still unclear.
Right.
He most recently directed Secret Crush on You.
Yes.
And I think is directing Gap, potentially. He's directed a ton of things.
He's also done a lot of screenwriting, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
He directed Why Are You? And then another guy that I was unfamiliar with in his work, there was a few things. He did Lovesick, stuff like that. The screenwriter, fun fact, also wrote Waterboy.
Which tracks with this show, let me tell you.
And Lovesick. And Because you're my boy.
You're my boy, which is, I mean, a gem of a show. But again, tracks.
Again, you know what I've realized is that like Lovesick was, I think, the first BL ever, if I'm not mistaken, or like the first maybe like network BL. Lovesick is early days, and everything goes back to Lovesick.
Right.
You know, like Junior produced Lovesick, and like all these people were
too.
part of it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
There's so many connections to the Lovesick world. Okay, so it stars Peak as Fuse, Boom as T, which Peak Boom are still going strong,
right?
Which is wild. Good old
Pawat Chitsuandi,
baby Pawat,
yes,
as Frame, and Toei as Book.
Yes.
All of these cast members are under the age of 20. A lot of them are like 15 and
when
16.
They filmed, obviously
during the
not
show.
Now. Yeah.
And so it's wild. When I was looking up cast members, I was like, it's 2022. This was filmed in 2016, and they were all born in like 2000.
Right. Okay. So I know that like technically he's a side character, but literally the reason that I forced this episode to happen was for one boy alone. And it is the boy that plays Luke Mo, and his name is Nice. And therefore he gets to be mentioned along with the main cast.
He is because not nice in the show.
He's not nice in the show, but he's just
I mean, he's not nice. He's just problematic.
He's a wonderful human being. It was just like a human.
He also had braces on a really long time because in season 2 they're like at the bottom of his teeth, which is really funny. I was like, they're just gonna fall off. Sweet child.
Yeah. So Nice, who plays Luke Mo, is also in a boy group called Atlas. 10 out of 10.
If you follow us, if you listen to us, you know
you might have heard us talk about Atlas. I went through a journey with Make It Right with Atlas. So I found Atlas and I was like so into Atlas. It was like scary. It just happened so fast. And I was like, and I remember texting you and being like, one of these boys has to have been in a BL because there's 7 of them.
You're like, how can I talk to them? How can we make this connection?
Because there's 7 of them. So I was like, surely. Yeah. And I was like searching. I just like, I could not find that any of them had been in a BL.
Actors have been in boy groups.
Right. So I was like, there has to be, because Ant's just so many just like young men in the entertainment industry in Thailand.
Young men in Thailand.
Right. Have been involved in the BL world in some way, shape, or form. So like generally if you're in the entertainment industry, I could trace your roots back to a BL somehow.
I want to know what percentage of actors in the entertainment industry have been in a BL.
Right. Even just as a side character. So I was like, surely one of these 7 boys has been in a BL. I believed it in my heart. And when I finally figured out that Nice was in a BL, and then I saw that it was Make It Right, I was like, hold on, I've seen Make It Right. Yeah. I did not remember him in it at all. Hence why I had to rewatch it.
Did you watch the cut first? Or did you watch the show first?
I watched the whole. I was so taken with Pawat that I did not just watch the cut.
You have to be to watch this.
Right. So I did not just watch the cut. No, I watched the show because I watched it on Line TV. So I just watched. So this was like very early days for me. So I I wasn't super familiar with like how to find cuts.
Oh, yeah. I had saved a book frame cut forever ago and just like never got around to it.
Yeah. So Nice, who plays Luke Mo in the show, gets to be mentioned with the main cast because he is the reason that we are doing this series Sunday.
Spoiler alert, 2nd season, he becomes a main character and he's paired with Yoke.
But we're not talking about the 2nd season. We're talking about the 1st season. Okay. Let's synopsize this one. Okay, synopsis voice on. This is a weird. I just saw the first sentence and I was like, "This is poor grammar." Okay, synopsis voice on.
I don't know where I got. I know where I got it from, but I don't remember like what it's credited to.
Okay, follows the adventures and love lives of high school students.
Yeah, I feel like they could end there.
Fuse is a gentle and sensitive boy who is heartbroken because of his girlfriend who cheated on him. So he tries to get over her by getting drunk with his friends at a party. There, he meets his friend T and ends up sleeping with him that night. How is he going to cope with his new feelings for another boy? And just how many boys who struggle with the same feelings are there at his school?
Yes, how many boys are struggling with these feelings?
Literally
every boy.
Let's just address it. This show's so problematic. Literally, it opens. So when I went to rewatch For Nice, I was like, okay, I'm looking out for Nice now. I'm looking out now. I remember when I watched For the first time around, and I remember thinking like, oh, I remember kind of excusing it away, being like, this is early days, like this
he was
is fine.
15.
Well, I mean,
It's
just
an
like the
infant.
plot line, right? So I
Right.
say frequently, like, especially with young actors, they don't control the source material, right? Like, they don't control the script. They don't control what their character is made to do. So, like, you can't, and he was young, right? So, like, I say all the time for early actors, like, we can't be mean to them and cancel them for stuff that they did when they were young actors, because they don't control that. And moreover, they don't have the star power to say, like, this is not okay. I'm not going to do this.
They were trying to earn a paycheck.
You know what I mean? Right. Totally. So, yeah, I never once blamed but like talking about the plot and the story writing, right, and the writing and the storyline and all that, I was like, okay, this is like 2016, this is like early days BL, like I'm a power through for And then when I watched again For Nice, and specifically looking for Nice, the show opens with Nice, actually, and I didn't realize that the show opens with Nice. The show opens with Luke Mo.
It opens and closes with him.
It does.
That's funny.
And from his first sentence, he is problematic. From the very first thing that comes out of his mouth when he runs up to Fuse, when he's like sitting there, the very first thing that comes out of his mouth is problematic. And I was just like, this show is so. And the more I kept watching it, like the fart scene, I was like, this show is so problematic.
Y'all, do not take sex education from a TV show.
Or at least not from 2016.
No.
Honestly, this show is so incredibly problematic, but
it's a fun watch.
It's a fun watch because you keep you're like upset the whole time you're watching it, but you're also like curious about it.
It's just so messy.
It's so messy.
Messy is the only word you can think of.
It also, you have to remember, like, I will say one thing that you have to keep in the back of your mind the whole time is like, culturally, this actually was at the forefront of like BLs and what happens in BLs, because here's the thing, it actually is like kind of cool that they address that he slept with him when he was drunk and that's not okay.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we don't even get that in current BLs.
However, the conversation around all of that.
Right. The way that they handle it is poor. It is messy.
They talk about it, but then immediately Fuse accepts blame for initiating it, even though Fuse was the drunk one. Because T is feeling guilty.
Right.
And there's an immediate shift of blame where T is like, I feel guilty for this. And he was like, no, it's my fault. And you're like, bro.
I don't know if there's a shift of blame, but there's a shift of guilt.
Well, Fuse immediately is like, no, it was my fault.
Right. But like, that's not like blame. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like no one ever blamed him. That like the shift of the guilt is different from the shift of blame.
Lord have mercy.
Here's the thing, this show is so confusing because it's so problematic, but at the same time it's so ahead of its time.
All the tropes are going strong because this is the foundation of tropes. Truly, here's the thing. My favorite trope that still stands to this day, it was done exceptionally well in Secret Crush on You, is when you have an incredibly straight character who is like over the top straight in the first like couple of episodes, and then finds a boy who has given him his awakening and falls head over heels and is utterly devoted to him. And that's what you get with Book and Frame. You get who is like hooking up with a girl and like walks out of a stall with her underwear.
Right.
And it's like, I get all the girls. I'm gonna like.
There's also that scene where Frame like teaches the other boys how to take a bra off, which is like the weirdest scene. And honestly, so okay, I say this all the time, right? I talk about how like I always ask around about a show, like, can I watch it at the gym? So I'm rewatching this show for Nice. And it had been so long since I had watched it.
Out of your head, like what?
Yes, I had like trauma blocked this show out.
Amazing.
And I'm watching it at the gym. Oh my God. And it happens to be that scene.
Yeah.
And in that scene, they all get naked. They all just start taking off their clothes. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I'm at the gym right now. I was on an exercise bike, and so I had the phone like propped up. And I was like, somebody's going to walk by and they're going to be like, this girl is watching like teenage boys like take their clothes. Like, what is this girl doing? I was like horrified. Amazing. That scene truly horrified me. And then the teacher comes back and she's like, no, I just meant to take off your shirts. Like, why are you guys taking all your clothes off? Like, and then is like teaching them how to take off a bra. And then they're literally on top of each other. Like, this is a very sex positive show, but sex negative at the same time show. It's very confusing.
I feel like we got with BL's, we get like ebbs and flows where like apparently early days they were very sex positive and very vocal about all the sex happening, and then they like pulled back a lot for whatever reason.
And they're like, we just look lovingly at each other.
Yeah. We high five. And then maybe because these shows then went mainstream as far as like on Thai television, right? Like maybe. Because Together went
but
to
didn't
like
this run on MCOT?
I have no idea.
I think it did. I think the show was on TV. Maybe it was just a web series. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong.
Maybe they got like an earlier. Maybe this was like at 11 p.m. and the like newer BLs got like a.
Here's what we know about it. It was popular enough to have three. There are no words to talk about this show.
Here's the thing though. Speaking of, we got 3. Shout out to Oishi. Because they have been there from the start.
Oishi honey lemon, you guys.
But Oishi had snacks in those early days. Because this was the Oishi had those the seaweed snacks until whatever until Taukanoi took over.
Yeah.
Which I was just like, that was the thought that I had in my head was like, Oishi's there from the beginning. Like they have fully supported. Like we talk about corporations during Pride Month, like putting their rainbow flags up. I'm like, Oishi is like
rainbow capitalism. No, I mean this show. It's just so insane. It's ridiculous. You watch it and you feel like you're in a fever dream.
I love it.
Wild.
I love a good teen drama because I love Degrassi.
Oh, I know. You said that like earlier this week, and I was like, this is so much like Degrassi because the seasons of Degrassi that I watched that were like age appropriate for me happened to be the season when Jimmy got shot and then he was in a wheelchair.
Yes.
And also the girl gets pregnant and then like someone ODs. So that was and yes, that is fully Make It Right, where it's like that level of dramatics.
But make it gay.
The scene, so the scene in the very beginning, I want to say it's like Ep 1, where the girl is in the bathroom with her friend and these boys are like banging on the door and they're like, how dare you lead me on? Like, this was so dramatic because you think they're banging on the door for the girlfriend, but then it turns out it's her friend. Her friend has been Triflin. Okay, she's been playing. But then this girl leaves the bathroom and she goes and meets up with a different boy. Like a boy that is not fused. And you're like, oh, scandalo. And it's just like literally there's a whole show. I do have good things to say about it though. Okay. Besides the fact that it's a fever dream.
Amazing.
It's like a messy fever dream.
What good things? Other than you get to see 3 seasons of like your favorite boys.
Right. So other than Omen Nice, which like really those are the high points of this show. Like
I actually really liked Fuse and T. I know that they were problematic, but they had such excellent chemistry. And I think, which I guess is why they are still going strong as, you know, actors working together in shows. But Fuse and T, I felt like they were interesting to be together, even though their storyline was a complete mess. And the fact that Fuse stays with this girl who cheats on him, like what in the love mechanic?
Multiple times.
What in the love mechanic?
And he knows it.
And like the season ends with them still dating.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are we doing here?
So okay, that is I have two good things to talk about for this show too. And I thought hard about it because I was like, I can't just come on this series and like talk mad shit. And I'm not even really talking because like it's fun to watch. Like, so
as we saw with Ken Porsche, you can like not agree with the the show you're watching, but be truly entertained by it.
I was truly entertained watching this all 3 times I watched it. And so
did you get like new things every time?
Every time, because again, I think I like trauma blocked the show out at the end. So that's why I thought really hard this time, because I was like, I can't just forget things. I can't just block things out of my memory. Okay, so but I thought really hard, and I have 2 good things to say about this show. Like actually positive. Okay. Actually, one of them is Fuse and Tea. So I think this show is very well made and well written in the sense that you watch Fuse and Tea, and even though we acknowledge that their initial hookup was a bad thing, right? We're making it right. That's the whole point, right? Like, you're trying to make it right. Literally, that's the plot of the show, right? Is to make it right for this mistake that happened. And so they acknowledge that like was not an okay way or like to hook up. But the way that but again, like we learned, we talked about this with Robbie, this is something that happens in real life. This is true to life. Right. The way that it's written and the way that they progress that specific scene, the hookup scene, you do, as a viewer, have empathy for T. You know what he did was wrong, and you don't defend it, and you don't stand behind it. And when he realizes he did something wrong, you're like, yeah, you did something wrong, But because of the way that they write it and they show it, you have empathy for him, because if you watch it, Fuse initiates it, right? Fuse very much initiates it and like keeps it go, right? Yeah. And the next morning, T has not like snuck, right? Like T thinks it's very clear that T thinks this was all on the up and up, and that Fuse is going to remember, and like he's had this awakening. And so he's like making breakfast and he's chilling. He's like,
this is like a better situation than Love Mechanics, where that we knows that he isn't in his right mind. Right. He's like thinking he's another boy.
Yeah. And so he very much, when Fuse is like, oh my God, I did not want this to happen. That's not what I meant. I didn't think, like, I don't like this. I'm not into this. T kind of immediately is like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it, like, as a viewer, you have empathy for him. You understand that what he did was wrong, and you understand, and when he understands that what he did was wrong, you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
But because of the way it was written, you have empathy for him, and you can understand why he made that mistake. And it's a mistake that nobody should make. Right. But it's just like, it's a really, honestly, it's good storytelling. Yeah. It's really good storytelling, because it keeps you engaged as a viewer. If you have somebody that's just like a villain and is only a villain, case in point, Vegas. Yeah. It's really, as a viewer, for me, it was really, really hard for me to be invested in Vegas at all, because he was just a flat out villain.
And you don't want him to get what he wants.
Right.
Whereas, like, I'm cool with either one of these boys getting what they want.
Right. And so it's just, and it was so true to life. And I just think it was brilliant storytelling. And again, I appreciate that they called a spade, and they were like, this hookup happened, but it was wrong.
Yeah.
It was bad.
They ebb and flow with their communication, because they're towards the end where you're pretty sure that T is avoiding Fuse because Fuse is still dating this girl.
Right.
And like, he doesn't want to hang out with him because he's like too busy. You're like, you guys just talk about it. Like, be like, hey, bro.
It wouldn't be a BL without poor communication, though. So, again, the tropes.
Heartstopper showed us that it's possible to have communication.
The tropes.
And it be a BL. I thought every storyline in this show was actually pretty well developed.
Yeah, this honestly, like, and
overall,
the people that brought us the show, despite this being very like a problematic fever dream of a show, they're good storytellers.
Yeah,
I like Absolutely. It is what it is. And so my other good thing that I have to say about the show is actually one specific scene. I want to say it's episode 2, maybe it's episode 1. So it's the scene when they're at the high school and the boys are all like, they're like crafting. They're making like traditional Thai like boat thingies, I think for like a festival maybe. And they're wearing the little like pants that you tie with the cloth.
Yeah.
And it's a really cute, it's just a cute scene because you see these
it's in the first episode.
You see these high school boys being high school boys, right? And so it very much like sets it up for you that like, okay, like that's where we're at emotionally and like maturity level.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice to just see them doing like kids, like they're doing like high school kid stuff. And like, it's a really funny scene.
Right.
They kind of like horse around with each other, and in this scene, it opens with this like traditional Thai music, and it just like it pans to Nice like posing, and he has like a flower in his mouth, and the line that he says is like, "Yes, show the world that Thailand is amazing." And I actually have that screenshot on my phone because I just think it's so iconic.
Yeah.
And it's just a really good, funny scene. I think it looks pretty. It's like good for the story. It's fun. It like it serves no purpose besides just being like a fun, funny scene. And like just Nice with the flower in his mouth and doing the pose and being like, show the world that Thailand is amazing. Like, yes, Nice, who then went on to be an Atlas, did in fact show the like I feel like in my heart he will in fact show the world that Thailand is amazing because Nice is amazing.
Do you think that's how amazing Thailand got its name?
Yes, inspired by Nice. I'm inspired by Nice every day. You might say he's my treasure. I don't know.
God. Oh, we're turning into an Atlas podcast.
10 minutes.
Amazing.
So yeah, those are my 2 high points for Make It Right.
Okay, let's talk about some of these other characters. So it's interesting because it's a group of friends, and we get kind of love interests for all of them.
Right.
For most of them. So you have this little Rod Tang boy who has a thing for Fuse.
Yes.
But then 9 comes along and is like, I'm gonna be there for you and just play the long game.
Right, which is like a solid,
but like resists like any inkling that he likes him. He's just like putting up with him, but really he does the whole like behind his back, like, yes. And those 2 were very cute. I want to see more from them in season 2. I'm curious to see where they're.
I have no idea what happens in season 2, so I have no clue.
It gets real spicy.
I don't know.
And then you have Yoke, and he's interesting because I did a little research off of him because this is the first time I've heard a ladyboy be referred to as like an effeminate gay man. I had no clue. Like, I didn't really do research. I was like going off of the information given to me by any types, anything that I've watched, which has like been very, very few.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and I think it's interesting that you say this is the first time you've seen that because I've seen it in a few BLs.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like, and
I just haven't paid attention.
Yeah, like I've noticed that word come up in relation to a man who presents as more effeminate.
Yeah, so in the research that I did, they said ladyboys typically refer to in Thailand specifically as literally anyone who isn't traditionally masculine.
Right.
So in the olden days, like pre-70s, I think it referred to intersex individuals. And then post-70s, it started to refer to transgender individuals and then any like effeminate man. And then but more recently, transgender individuals have started referring to themselves as just like women. And then you have gay men who are, they kind of use the term ladyboy in a more like just generally broad term, but it kind of covers a ton of things. But the word in Thai that they use actually comes from Khmer, like the Cambodian language, which I thought was interesting. And yes, the history of the word ladyboy is just fascinating.
Yeah,
it's very cultural for Thailand.
It is. It's very Thai.
Yeah,
and I have seen it in even more recent BLs. So, like I heard it a few places, and I remember being a little confused the first couple times, and then I just like through context clues realized that word didn't necessarily refer to someone who is trans because, of course, someone who is trans is just a woman or a man, right? And it referred to a more broader scope,
right?
And so just through context clues, I had put that together.
Yeah, and it was also interesting because they like put ladyboy, which is like the English translation, but again, they were like, there's not a good translation of that word, which is like katoi is like the Thai word for it. They almost refer to it as a third gender in Thailand.
Right.
which again, interesting. But Yoke is such a fun character because he's so very much like, I am gay from the first episode. He's like, I'm a ladyboy and I don't care. And he like very much goes against his mom.
Oh yeah, like when his mom is sending the girls, I was just like, oh Lord.
I love to see that character because again, in those early BLs, like you got a lot of like, I'm only gay for you, or like, I'm not gay, I only like this boy. Yeah. And so it's interesting to see a character who's like loud and proud and is like, you can throw girls at me, but I'm not going back. Yeah. Or I'm not going that way.
Yeah, it's just, that's not my team.
Yeah. We also get a fun little GL in this.
Yes.
And by fun, I mean so strange because towards the end, I guess she finally accepts that like she likes this girl.
It's one of those like, you tried like situations.
And then they have that confrontation with the guy who's pursuing the girl. And she's like, I never led you on. Like, I was your friend. Like, right. I don't know. Because
we all been there.
He catches them kissing and is like so distraught. And she's like, I owe you nothing. I was just your friend.
Right. Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah, which is amazing. Yeah. And I think like it makes a lot of sense that early on, I feel like we have a lot of conversation and discourse around like, there's not enough GL storylines and like GL is not prominent enough. And it's true. We don't have enough, like in the sense where we have like a BL, right? The whole series is about boys and boys love.
Yeah.
Shout out Yanan.
Yeah, we haven't gotten a GL.
Well, we have. There just aren't as many.
We haven't got from Thailand.
Right. There just aren't as many.
Yeah.
But if you watch, there are lots and lots and lots of GL storylines. Yeah. Throughout so many shows in Thailand.
I would say there are more conversations where you have like people being like, oh yeah, I like a girl.
No, you have straight up relationships. So Apple's done it twice.
Right, but
Apple's done it twice.
They're not in BLs though. Well, I mean,
right, that's what I mean. Across media, there are lots and lots of GL storylines across Thai media, and people don't think of. People are like, "Oh no, that's not there. It's not there. It's not happening." But if you look and you notice, it actually is there, which is really cool to discover.
Because she only talks about liking a girl in Dark Blue Kiss, but she actually gets a girlfriend in.
And she has another show where she was in like an actual lesbian relationship. Yeah, a separate show. It wasn't a BL, but yeah.
I wonder if there are more straight shows with GL storylines.
But there are so many of these storylines out there, and people just, I think, so frequently, especially if you're stuck in the BL world, like you think, oh, this isn't happening, it's not there, but it actually is there. And so it's really cool to be reminded, and like that's another reason to watch these old ones, is to be reminded that like actually people have been telling these storylines since early days.
Right.
So, and again, like I think it's a credit to New, right? Because New it very much is like an advocate and a great storyteller, and like so New also, of course, as the head of Wabi Sabi, produced all of the 7 project where the woman we all know and love, Sammy, of course, had her had a GL in 7 project. So
did Until We Meet Again have any GL in it?
No. People shipped them, but not even like hinted in the script.
Because Sammy got a boy.
Sammy's character gets a boy in Until We Meet Again.
But I could have sworn the sister had something.
No,
they just ship her with Sammy.
They just ship her with Sammy.
Yeah. Okay, so the character of Jean. There's so many moments. So the middle of the show is funny because you have the beginning of the show where T and Fuse establish a relationship of some sort, and then you have the end of this show.
They establish that they know each other.
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
You have the end of this show where they have a relationship of some sort. You're not really sure, right. But the middle of
they establish that they know each other.
The middle of this show is like them being lovey-dovey and like in a something relationship.
They establish that they know each other.
They know each other a little more than that they are aware of each other's presence.
Right.
But there's so many scenes with Jean and T and Fuse, and Fuse is sitting in the middle, And homegirl, like, are you just like blind?
Yes.
Do you have no clue?
None.
I mean, she is like a typical girl in high school where like
Listen, the heart wants what the heart wants, and she's
like,
just hoping against hope.
I refuse.
She's like, if I can't see, she's not a just like I am not looking kind of girl. She's like I do not see it.
I do not see it.
Like
Yeah.
flat out, I do not see it.
I just Jean, girlfriend.
I mean,
those boys could have been making out, and she'd be like,
oh, they're just friends.
Yeah. Maybe they want to kiss. Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I feel like I don't know if it was purposeful comedic relief, but to me it was comedic relief.
Fully. Every time the three of them are in a scene together, I was like, what are we doing here, guys? What are we doing?
I mean, I hate the storylines that make girls like the punching bag and like the punchline of the joke. But in this case, like partially it's because like so many girls have been there where you're just like, you're hoping beyond hope that you're wrong because you like this boy so much. But like, you
can't wish him straight.
You can't.
It's not going to happen.
But the heart wants what the heart wants. And it's, yeah. At least she's not like a fighter. You know what I mean? Like at least she's turn a blind eye, not a I'm gonna punch you in the face kind of girl.
Or like expose you to everybody else.
She's not evil. She's not evil. She's just
I feel like there are quite a few love mechanics parallels in this show that I'm just now realizing.
And Waterboy, if you watched Waterboy. Because also, Waterboy has a GL storyline. Speaking of.
Yeah. The girlfriend, it's Earth's girlfriend. Yeah, that girl is so blind.
Yeah.
Whatever his character's name is.
That's Earth funny. And New are making out on the stairs. She could have seen it and been like, this is fine. Everything's fine.
They're just friends.
It's like the epitome. Again, I've said this usually of like the dog in the house. The house is on fire and he's with his mug and he's like, everything's fine. Like the epitome of that.
I feel like that is like true to high school where you have these girls who are like, he's so cute. And like, he's being so nice to me. So like, you develop a crush on him.
Listen, girls, we gotta get past being nice is the bare minimum, ladies.
It's true.
Like we have to get past that being the barrier that men have to cross for us to like them. They gotta do more than be nice. Because it's so true, especially when you're in high school. If the boy's nice to you, you're like, oh my god, you're like floored. We gotta move beyond this, ladies. I hope that the Zoomers have gotten beyond this. I have faith in Gen Z that they're beyond this.
I mean, they're not having relationships at all. They're just all online.
There's snip snap chatting.
Oh Lord. Honorable mention is that Mean Plan show up in so many shows as individual characters. I would love to know the like kind of history of Mean Plan because I watched Love by Chance and Love by Chance 2, unfortunately. And they are such an interesting duo.
I know virtually nothing about Mean Plan besides that I'm supposed to hate Mean. That's the only thing I know about him.
But here's the funny thing is like Mean Plan show up as individual actors in the show. Like I don't even think they like know each other in the show because it ends where Mean is with the sister.
Right.
And Plan is just one of the friends.
I didn't even know Plan. I didn't even notice that was Plan, honestly.
Maybe Plan is like the only straight boy. I don't think he gets any love interest.
But like Mean was the worst in Until We Meet Again. So once I found out that I was supposed to hate him and he's the worst in Until We Meet Again, I was like, oh, okay, this tracks. Like I'm on board with this.
But
like,
he directs good BL. So what can you do?
Yeah. So interestingly, a lot of as we start to wrap this up, if you liked Make It Right, it's
if you
fun.
Watched
it's
Make
for
It
fun.
Right.
Make It Right is one of those like it's for fun. Like you do it for the history of like for the study of the art. You do it for Omen Nice. That's what you do it for. Let's be honest.
I feel like this is one of those shows, and there are quite a few BLs like this where it's like you watched it and you don't like the show, but you were entertained by the show.
Right. I
liked Lovesick.
I
should
would
watch
if
that.
somebody asked me, did you like Make It Right? I really don't know what I would say because I didn't dislike Make It Right.
You don't.
So I wouldn't
like
say
it.
no, I don't like it.
I'm indifferent.
I think what I would say is I really like Nice and Om.
I think
that's how I would describe it, is that I am willing to do some pretty ridiculous things for Om Pawat and Nice Somkid, and I've done that here. I've achieved that here.
I feel like BLs are like the Kinsey scale of sexuality, where nobody's on either end.
Okay, so what on the Kinsey scale of BL? Where does this fall?
Okay, what do we
with one being like the most problematic, like the worst, like do not watch it. Like what's the one that
The Effect?
Like, yes, one is The Effect.
Yes,
one is The Effect, and 10 is like You're My Sky and It's a right,
Bad
like
Buddy.
Bad Buddy,
Yeah.
all the like the icons.
I'd say this is like a 3.
Oh, that's rough.
It definitely isn't in the middle because it is highly problematic. But
at the same time, it's ahead of its time, though. That's what's weird about it.
I'd say Tarn Type is like a 2.
Okay, because that feels right.
The storytelling,
that feels right.
Not quite there. But this one, like, there's good storytelling, there's good character development, but it's highly problematic.
But like, it's so ahead of its time. So it is problematic. But then when I stop to think about it, I'm like, is it actually problematic? I don't know. This show has left me confounded.
I know we were truly. Like, what was happening in 2016 in Thai youth culture that they felt they needed to educate the masses?
I really feel like I need someone who was a youth in 2016 in Thailand.
I guess she was too young.
She would have been too young. Because to explain to me,
actually no, she would have been just right.
Maybe, yeah,
because she would have been like 15.
Who
is this for?
I have so many
Here's
questions.
Also the other thing I realized is that most of these shows are set in high school, because I feel like that excuses a lot of their behavior. Like these,
you're like, oh, they're in high school, they're gonna be the worst.
Yeah, like these script writers, like if I got this kind of character from an adult or even someone in college, I would have been like, nope.
I mean, except for the Fuse and Tea of it all. That feels like college. Like if that was set in college, I'd be like, yeah, this tracks.
I feel like it's high school now, like a la Euphoria,
right?
You know.
But I mean, yeah, if that situation happened in a college setting, I'd be like, this makes sense. Another character that I really liked was the teacher that chases them every time that they go to skip school, because I mean, my dude is dedicated. Like, he's really dedicated to their education in a way that I don't understand.
The grown-ups that show up in the show make no sense.
They make no sense.
They're so
they're all for comedic relief, I'm convinced.
Yeah, they're all like just angry at the world,
or they're just like absolutely ridiculous. They're like caricatures.
Yes.
Right? Like the teacher that's like chasing with the paint. That's where the paint flies everywhere.
Yeah.
That man is a caricature.
I do love that Chi-Win, who is the copy A guy, who's now a solid director, took a turn at acting and was in quite a bit of this.
I mean,
mostly for product placement.
This was solidly directed.
Again, I mean, there were 5 of them.
It's like watching a fever dream. Truly.
Yes.
I mean, I don't advocate for the consumption of illegal substances. You shouldn't do it. I don't do it. But I imagine this is what it would be like if you were to like take illegal substance.
I feel like maybe you should drink at least.
This would be an excellent drinking game. I can't watch this a 4th time. I can't.
We should watch season 2.
Okay.
What would season 2 drinking game be?
I don't know, because I don't really know what happens in it.
Every time Jean goes on a date with Fuse. If she's still in season 2. I'm assuming she is. I'm pretty sure she is. They probably move in together.
If you've watched season 2, drop your drinking game rules for season 2. Maybe we should do it as a live for our gang babies to wrap up this episode. This is my promise. If somebody drop some suggestions on a drinking game for Make It Right season 2. We will try and find Make It Right season 2 legally so that we can do a live of us watching this ridiculous show.
Yeah.
It'll probably be a lot of me crying over Nice. I'm not gonna lie to you. And Does still have his braces in season 2? No, they're gone.
I don't think so. Actually, has a little bit of development in season 2. He's starting to look like current in season 1 was very skinny.
He was a baby.
Also crazy is that the boy who plays Book is like 5 years older than which is interesting. He's on the older side. Boom is the youngest. He is a solid like 15-year-old.
And so Nice would have been
16.
Young. 16,
yeah. I think he's 2000.
Yeah. So I would love to know also, because a lot of people love throwing out there, Ohm's had another pairing before. Ohm's had another pairing before. He's had 2, in fact. I hear this all the time. I see this everywhere. People love to bring up the fact that they know, because this is like the syndrome that people have with like K-pop idols, where like they'll be like, I've been here since debut. They're like, I'm a better fan than you. I've been here since debut. I see this all the time, where people would be like, no, but he didn't just have a pairing and do the movie. He had a pairing and Make It Right. Blah, 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 blah. And they love to talk about it. I would love to know the percentage of people who love to drop that fact that have actually watched this show.
I also want to know if this is the only ship that has gone down in flames publicly.
Right. So we're not going to talk about the drama because that's not what we do. But you can look it up. Interesting. Look it up if you're curious.
It's so easy to find. Yeah.
But we're not going to talk about it.
It's, sweet He's such a boy.
I mean,
can't hold it together.
It's on brand with Make It Right.
True. Go get your merch, because y'all, we're almost a month away from the Rycan FanCon.
We are.
And we're going to be there in person.
We are.
You should be there in person.
You should.
It's going to be amazing.
If you can't be there in person,
there are 54 kings.
You can get a streaming pass to watch the concert. If you haven't bought your streaming pass yet, hold off for just a hot minute, because we will be doing another giveaway this coming Wednesday.
Yes.
So keep your ears and your stuff open. Beth Ann, in fact, is supposed to be picking some extra winners because we got some extra passes to give y'all, and she hasn't done it yet.
Stay tuned.
So
July is flying by. I don't even know. Yeah. This has been Let's Talk BL. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow all things Let's Talk BL at Let's Talk BL.